Greetings and salutations to all you out there on the interwebs. This is the November Heraldic Decision Meeting for the Kingdom of Meridies. I am Senor Carlos Blanco El Barbero, the Pen and Herald for Meridies, and with me tonight are my lovely cohorts in heraldry. Let's start off the introductions with Master Alexander.
Is he still here?
Who seems to be freezing.
I see him, but I just don't hear him.
All right, Brahma, we'll go ahead and go off with you.
Okay, I'm Mr. Stormino Goodwelly. I am the Lambent Herald for the Kingdom of Meridies, which is a commenting herald, among other things.
Hi, I'm Matthias Blackett. I'm Torch Herald. I'm in charge of court heraldry and precedence.
Whose turn is it?
Lucian.
I'm the Shadow Lord. I'm the deputy for the Herald and the for the Guardian Sovereigns and Meridies.
Can anybody else tell what he's saying?
Yeah, the microphone's a little.
Yeah,
little
it's been going in and out.
Okay.
And our last herald, go ahead and give your introductions.
Hi, I'm Kaelin McGolden. I am Hammer Herald for the Barony of Thor's Mountain.
Alrighty, well, tonight's letter will be starting.
Can you hear me now? Or am I just talking to myself again?
You were first, but you weren't here.
Yeah, you are here now. So go ahead and try that introduction again.
Okay. No, I did it once. I was just silent.
Oh, okay. So
No, I'm Alexander Ravenscroft. I am mostly a field and court herald, so I'm just here to spoil stuff. Bronwyn does all those devicey things.
So we're going to start off.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to switch computers real quick because this one is terrible.
Okay.
For reasons.
We'll go ahead and jump into the names now. Please remember that we must discuss the name first before we can discuss the device, because without a name, the device cannot come up. We are discussing the October letter, which closed commentary yesterday. We'll start with number 1, which is Amina Elora.
I believe.
She desires a feminine name. Has said that she accepts no major changes, and the sound of her name is what's most important. For both of her names, she used the family search, and also gave pictorial evidence of them. But the problems that we are having is that they both that her given name comes from the I badge,
Right.
which is not acceptable.
But not until the 1800s.
Say that again, Brahman.
I found it as Italian in Felice, but not until the 1800s, as far as I can tell.
Someone.
Looks like Lucian.
Who is whistling?
It looks like Lucian.
I tried finding Amina as a surname in England or Scotland, thinking you could use the surname to given name switch if I could find it, but I haven't been able to find that either.
Well, someone found it in Family Search in the M batch, but it is German.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think German and English can cross.
Are we sure here?
Well, we'll wait to
Hold on
find
a
out.
second and let me look.
Okay. You check that out. Yeah, they found it. They found it in the Gray period of 1616.
Mm.
That's
But her surname is dated to 1595.
well,
Okay,
that's
so
not bad. That's close. That's very close. So let's see.
That's what, 21 years?
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No.
for the German, I'm not seeing it on the approved list for combinations with English,
No,
I'm
not
seeing
either.
but not German.
I thought it was. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
Dutch,
think it
German.
used to be, but oh crap, got the wrong. Hit the wrong link here. There we go. Yeah,
But I'm more-
just not.
Here.
You can
Okay.
combine Dutch,
But not German.
but apparently, well, it says Dutch can be combined with English, Welsh, French, or German. But when you get to English and Welsh, they cannot be combined with German. They can be combined with Dutch if we could find it in Dutch, but she wants English, right?
All she's saying is that the sound is important.
German can be combined with French if we could, but I don't think we're going to find Elara in French.
No, I don't think so either.
Probably not.
Amina sounds
Oh, wait,
Arabic, and you're not going to be able to combine
February 2015 cover letter says we will allow the borrowing of given names from German into English and vice versa in the context of the 16th and early 17th centuries.
Okay, then we're cool. Because we're
Awesome.
talking about her surname is definitely 16th century.
Mhm.
So I think we need to state that
Yes, we use
in
the
the documentation.
use the one that is. Now, would that allow us to do the switch as well? Because it's listed as a surname. So would that allow a switch to the given name as well?
What
I thought
the comment right below yours has a Amina as a given name.
it's a given name.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one right below the cover letter comment. You have to change the spelling, but it has the same sound, and that is apparently what's important. So
Right. Yes.
Right. So
Okay.
if we could borrow the German spelling, the German Amina, under that rule and pair it with the English Elara, we can give her what she wants.
Right.
But we're just going to have to make sure that that rule is stated in the documentation so that we don't have somebody coming back on us about it.
All right. So then what we will do is change the given name doc, state the precedents.
Amina spelled Amena.
Right, which seems to me would lend more towards people pronouncing it that way.
Instead
As
of
well.
pronouncing it Amina or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst that you get with that is like Amena.
Yeah, you're going to get Amina maybe, but still you're.
That sounds a lot better than me calling a meanie. So
Yeah. So that's what I think. It's probably our best bet.
All right, so what's the name
So
settled?
use Frida's documentation for Amina. in Germany.
Was the name taken care of? Let's go ahead and move on to the badge. Her device. The device has a serious stylize issue.
Right. Well, I looked it up, and there are 10 dragonflies registered. 5 of them are registered as volant. Volant would imply to me that they're shown in profile. The other 5 are registered as volant in arrears, which is from the back. The wing spread.
What were the dates on the registrations?
But I didn't see any pictures. I didn't see any emblazons to tell exactly how a volant dragonfly is emblazoned.
Then,
I mean, I recently submitted a dragonfly for a badge, and it was as viewed from above.
Well, that's turgid.
That's a standard insect one.
Yeah, that's going to be your standard insect default.
Yeah, so.
But they do show some insects in profile, and a dragonfly is recognizable. It's just the question is, right now you've got the foreshortening problem with the wing, the right,
which makes it look very three-dimensional.
Right. The rendering is part of the problem. If they will allow it to be blazoned as volant, or well, they're blazoning it as statin, I don't think that's going to be cool. But no. if they could redraw the other 2 wings to make them balanced with the 2 that we've got on the closer wings, that would at least do away with that foreshortening problem. The problem is whether or not they're going to allow a dragonfly shown in profile. And without emblazons of some of these registered ones, I'm not sure how those are pictured.
In the interim, while y'all are between this solution, we're having some difficulty. Hold on a minute, Bronwyn.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, we're having some difficulty hearing you. Try the chat. I saw that you were speaking, but you couldn't come across very well.
Okay, are you hearing me now?
No, it wasn't you. It was Lucian that was having a problem.
Oh, okay.
I said Lucian.
Oh, okay.
We'll give him a chance to type here and see what he says.
Yeah. I know Lucian was one of the people that was talking about this in the
All right, he was saying the only difference between volant and turgid, it was the wings.
Okay, so when they showed it volant, they showed it from the top.
Turgid should be from the top.
Right, but he said it would have to be wing positioned or something, if what he's saying is correct.
Right.
I'm just not looking at like maybe back swept wings or something because with turgid the wings would just be out to the sides and spread, I would think. I can't imagine. He says volant is turgid.
Yeah,
okay.
So if you click on the link for one of the examples here, there's an example per pale, vert and purpura, dragonfly, volant, argent. Mm-hmm. If you click on the link for that, the picture is turgid. I mean,
okay, so the ones that are registered as volant are probably turgid.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly viewed from above.
Yeah. Okay, so then we've got a problem with a dragonfly in profile.
Right, and was it the way they have the dragonfly kind of also sitting on the lotus? It kind of is more reminiscent of something that's very pictorial.
Or conjoined, and they don't say that. Oh, conjoined in pale, a dragonfly statin and a lotus in profile argent. So what they're wanting is the dragonfly basically sitting on the lotus flower.
Correct.
And
I mean, assuming you could register the dragonfly in this posture, I mean, that combination doesn't seem unblazonable.
No, it
doesn't throw any red flags.
No, it doesn't. The question is whether or not we can register a dragonfly in this posture in profile. And none of the dragonflies that are registered say anything about in profile, or at least the ones that I was looking for. Let me see if I can do a search and say.
Come on in.
Yeah, and I don't.
Hero in profile. Let's see if I can find anything. Okay, wait a minute. There's 5. Lotus blooms in profile, flower in profile.
Lucian is saying that wallet is the only posture that doesn't need.
Oh yeah, really cool guy gave it to me.
Who has the conversation going on in the background?
No, I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any dragonflies registered as in profile, or at least blazoned that way.
Right. But as I was trying to say about what Lucian just said Vault is the only posture that does not need documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So if she wanted this posture, then she's going to have some kind of documentation with it to show.
Yeah, she's going to have a documented exception or something, or find it in period shown in this posture probably.
Correct. So even if she did expand the wings, it would still.
It might have that problem. I mean, unless we want to kick it up to Reith and let Reith make the choice, I can't think of anything else we can do.
I don't think there is anything we can do, and I think Reith would automatically just kick it back.
Probably.
I will say that if they drew the lotus a little smaller and actually made the dragonfly turgent and just did it and had it conjoined or whatever at the tail, it would look really good.
Yes.
I mean,
or even have the dragonfly turgent inverted, flying toward the lotus.
Yeah, I mean
that would be cool.
Too. That might work very well too.
Yeah, I would give those as suggestions. I think those would look really good. You just have to make the lotus a little smaller to kind of fit it all.
Because if you did it turgent inverted, it would look like the dragonfly was coming in to land on the lotus, which is sort of what she's looking, what she's wanting, I'm thinking. So.
Yeah, the other problem is this one might actually scrape to pictorial.
Yes.
That's what
as it stands. Yeah.
Of urgent inverted.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest that would be something that I would suggest to the client.
Yeah, because in my head that actually looks very good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Also, if you put the tail upward, it's more distinctive. You can recognize it better than if it were down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looks like it's flying away from the.
And I would have to admit, I mean, from a distance wise, if I was standing 10 feet away from that, I think all of that would blur together. The way it is done right now.
Well, I'm beginning to think we're going to have to return this for a redraw.
Yeah, it's definitely a return for redraw. And like I said,
I don't think it's a redraw. I don't think it's a redraw.
Well, a redesign.
Because we're not looking at something that is in real time.
Right.
Well, we're returning it because the dragonfly's in an undocumented posture.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not it's.
So
I get what
it's Lily and they draw
a redraw. A redraw would be if she only had to alter the wings.
Right.
Yeah, or using bat wings as opposed to dragonfly wings. That would be returning it for a redraw. We were having
slight problems
where
okay.
I would need around usually either 12 or 1.
Who has the conversation going on?
Ben.
Sorry.
Sometimes like 7 or 8.
Sorry. Things in the background.
Yeah. So as far as the suggestions, I think those are all conflicting. There is a Perben Sinister Vertin Sable, a Dragonfly, and a Lotus Flower in Profile Argent, which I think that you'd only get the DC for the field, I think, on that.
So they have a dragonfly in profile.
Well, as far as
No,
they're
they
registered
have
in the system, they're just a dragonfly and a lotus that are both primary and argent, with
Okay.
no other secondaries or tertiaries involved. So all you get is the DC for the field.
So it's in conflict anyway.
Yeah.
Probably,
So this one just has several problems. Could you could you send
Sure.
let me
me
see. Hold on a
the
second.
information on the person they're conflict with?
Sure. I'll put it in the chat right here. Oh, well,
Thank you.
I'm on the wrong computer. Okay.
Three lotus blossoms.
Let's
Would
see.
that be Valdisa Allersauter?
Yes, that one.
That's a recent registration too.
Yeah, 2012.
Copy.
Dragon.
There you go. I put it in.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it is prevent sinister verdant sable, so the field is different. A dragonfly, which is probably turgid, and a lotus flower in profile argent. So,
Yep.
and they are in Ben Sinister. They are, they probably are in Ben Sinister.
No, in this one they would just be right on top of each other, just like it is now, because
Well, it
they're
doesn't
just two
say
primary.
impale. It doesn't say impale. Prevent sinister verdant sable. Okay, maybe they do default to being impale. Dragonfly, turgid, and lotus flower in profile. Yeah, you've got a different. Even if she redesigned it as we were talking about.
I went to Oscar to look it up, and I'm not finding it.
It's Valdisa Allar's daughter, and it was registered in February of 2012.
Yeah,
Aidenbelt.
yeah. I mean,
For Ben
I
Sinister
entered her name into Oscar, and it's that.
Well,
that
you're
device
probably,
is not.
well, it's got accents on it.
I entered yours in.
Okay, let's try just entering Valdisa and see what happens.
Yeah, you can find it if you do that.
Yeah, SA.
Oh, whoa.
See what we
actually,
get. See what we get as far as a picture search.
Actually, it's not in Oscar.
It's not. It was registered in 2012.
Yeah, she's got a bunch of bad household name on here, but I don't see the actual device.
There's a badge. She's got several badges. It was I didn't even look to see if it was a badge or a device. Let's see. The following device. No, her device must have been registered. It should be an Oscar. Oscar was around in 2012.
Is it possible Attenbelt wasn't using Oscar by then?
No, I don't know.
Oh, either way, we did find it. Is it possible that it was subsequently released?
Oh,
There's a possibility. Let's look at the
O&A
description form. Following device was registered. It doesn't say anything in the O&A about it being released.
Okay.
Yeah, that usually shows up on the complex search too, whether it's released or not.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the dragonfly's turgid and the lotus flowers in profile. So if she reversed the dragonfly and had a dragonfly inverted over it, and the differences to the field, we give her 2 DCs.
I think so, yeah.
But she would have to invert the dragonfly. And I'm betting that the dragonfly on Valdisa's is in default because it doesn't say anything about it being inverted.
I'm going to do I'm going to do a Google search on her to see if anything pops up that might actually show.
Yeah, all of her stuff that's showing up on Oscar. She's got one thing in 2008 on Oscar for a name change. I don't know how that 2012 one slipped by, but it's not showing up on Oscar.
Oh, I found it.
Okay.
On Oscar?
Yeah, it is a.
Yes, send me a link, please.
Sure.
Yeah, please send the link. I'd like to look at it.
Sorry, I have to type it in here. So I'm using two different computers. Y equals. This should be it. It's the ninth item on that LOI, and as you mentioned, it does look like it's in sort of in a per bend here because it's separated by the bends, but I'm not sure if that matters here.
I'm not able to click on your link. I'm gonna try.
You'd have to copy and put it in your.
You said the ninth item?
Yeah.
Well, that's showing. Well, hers is per chevron, per and
yeah, this is for per
right. That's only
bend.
one
So
DC.
you've got a DC for changes to the field. If her dragonfly. Her dragonfly is they are in bend. They're not in pale. And
right, but it's registered as default, so technically,
yeah, right. So
drawn, like,
but it's flying toward Chief. So if she inverted the dragonfly, she would get 1 DC, and for changing the field, she would get 2.
Do you get a DC for changing the orientation of only half of the primary group, or do you have to change everything?
Well, my question is,
I don't know, maybe not.
She has both a line division and a color change.
That's still only 1 for the field.
Still only 1 change. It changes to the field.
You can only ever get 1 DC for it.
But you might be able to get another one for placement because the movement is not forced.
Right.
Well, but it's not forced, but it's also not registered as being in bend sinister. So technically, either the blazon would need to be changed to specify the in bend sinister. I mean, because technically it could be drawn in pale. Because I would think the impale is almost the default for 2 primary charges.
And Lucian is asking, what about switching the 2 charges? Have the Lotus in Chief and the Dragonfly in base.
I'm looking up the orientation rules right now. I think that works, but
in that case, it would probably look better to have the dragonfly flying toward the Lotus,
right,
and not be inverted.
Right.
Change of arrangement.
I mean, you normally do get a DC for changing the arrangement of charges on the field, but would you get one between in pale and in bend sinister?
I think
if you invert the dragon,
I'm thinking though with the one we're finding the conflict, it's more of that the items are forced.
Okay, so if you were to flip it like you're saying, that definitely does give a DC. It says here, distinctly changing the posture or orientation of half the charges in any group.
Okay, good. Then it does work to invert the dragonfly.
Yeah, so if you invert the dragonfly and then
have the changes to the field, she would be clear of that.
Yeah. All right. So invert the dragonfly and she avoids the conflict. And comes into something that's more
period style.
Period looking.
Move the Lotus down a little bit. Put your dragonfly above it.
Yes. All righty. Well, that takes care of number one.
The doozy.
So moving on to number two. We have a nice Welsh-looking name.
Yes.
Say that again.
It's the Welsh form of Jennifer. It's like Gwynnifer.
Okay.
Birch Reese.
Birch Reese.
Mm-hmm. And but let's see. Her name is already registered.
Yes, her name is already registered. This is a resub device.
Mm-hmm.
Was previously submitted. Vert was in a muscle argent, a lacy knot ore, and it was returned by Laurel. Must be returned for further work, giving the relative visual weights and importance of the two charges. The muscle is the primary charge, and we have emblazoned accordingly. Thus, this device conflicts with the badge of Martel von Charlottenburg and Eric von Charlottenburg. Vert, a muscle argent, was in a border ore. There's only one DC for changing the type of secondary charge. It looks like their answer was to beef up the size of the lacy knots to make them co-primaries.
Yeah.
But in doing so, we may have found another conflict.
Yeah, this one's weird.
Yeah. It was Matthew Law of Aberdeen. It was registered in 1999. Vert, a double-bitted bited axe argent, and a Bouchier knot,
Bouchier knot.
laced about the shaft ore.
I wouldn't think that visually that would be a conflict, but
You'd think so, but the way it's coded in the database makes it come up as a conflict, which makes me wonder if that's how they do it. Because the problem is that they're both considered they're both co-primary.
yes.
And there
So
might
you're
be,
only changing the type of half of the primary charge group.
yeah, and so if there's a chance that because of the arrangement with one of them being like effectively conjoined or interlaced, that maybe you could get a DC for arrangement, but at the same time, in both cases, the knot is central on the device, and the other charge, either the axe or the massel, is also centered on the device.
And
So
there is
an arrangement.
There is a link to see it visual in the next comment. Comment.
And of course, that may or may not be what was originally submitted.
Either way, though, to me it seems like the idea between the both is definitely shared.
Yeah, but you got two different types of knots too. I mean,
but all knots conflict with each other.
Yeah. So visually, these are not similar, but technically. I'm trying to think.
I mean, from our perspective, it doesn't look similar, but I mean, you can imagine, someone had the first device with the axe.
Okay, is the
massel
a co-primary, or is it a secondary charge surrounding the knot?
That's a good question too. I mean, the way it's blazoned, it looks co-primary, but there may be arguments either way.
I'm thinking the way it's emblazoned, it could be a.
I'm taking the co-primary by the emblazon, because I mean, the size is forced to fill, for it to fill in, and even if it was still a secondary charge, and not co-primary, they still fall into conflicting with the other the original device that they conflicted with. They're saying that the Laurel is saying that the secondary charge because says there is only one DC for the changing of the secondary charge, so they would have to bring it to a co-primary in order to negate the original
conflict.
Well, no, if it actually was the not primary and the Massel secondary, you would not have a conflict because the primary charge is changed from a Massel to a not.
Correct.
Yes.
So you get an SC there.
Yeah, so you would be clear there, and Michael's device.
And you'd be clear from Michael's because you go from a group primary to a single primary.
Yes.
But it's kind of difficult really to call it a secondary when it has that kind of visual weight, I think. And I mean, I'm not really sure how you can make something inside a Massel in this kind of scenario not co-primary, almost.
Right.
That's a tough call.
I mean, at that size, if you're wanting it inside the lacy knot, it would have to be smaller, but still be co-primary.
Yeah.
Look, this one's a challenge.
I mean,
I think at this one, since we have so much question because of visual difference,
maybe we ought to kick this one up.
This one, I think this one we should kick up because, but make a note about the possible conflicts. But we'd wondered if there was enough visual difference for it to continue.
Yeah, for the Massel to be a secondary instead of a co-primary, or for the.
Well, Michael makes a good comment that this could also provide a test case for whether, whether you get a DC in arrangement for conjoining.
Yeah.
But it's not conjoined.
Well, no, it's not, but the axe is. Effectively, I mean, it says.
Well,
it doesn't say conjoined on there, but when you look at the device, they're effectively conjoined.
Well, yeah, it's in
because they're sitting on top of each other.
Yeah, you might even call it overall, except for that it's not coated with the debruising that overall normally gets. So it's yeah.
But here's another question. I mean, do they still only on that other one? Are they both co-primaries?
What, the axe and the Boucher knot?
Yeah, those are absolutely co-primaries as they are determined in the system.
Then we would only really have one DC.
But if you had an arrangement, you could get a DC for the type and a DC for the arrangement. But I don't know if you can necessarily get a DC for this type of arrangement. It's kind of new territory, especially since with the new rules on held and maintained charges, it's almost like the knots being maintained by the axe or vice versa.
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions here on how that works.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's all hindering on the word interlaced right here.
Yeah.
Because it's whereas with the other one, they're just there.
Yeah.
They're not touching. They're not doing anything. Whereas this one, they're saying, "Hey, it's interlaced. These two items are together." So okay.
But you have to think like would two Massels like interlaced? Like, do you have a DC from just two Massels? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, because that's a common motif to do those kind of interlacing with those simple shapes.
Right.
Would those get it? Because if these get a DC for arrangement there, then two Massels interlaced would get a DC.
I would think interlacing two Massels as opposed to having them separate would be a change of positioning.
You think so?
I would think so logically, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I say let's send it up. Let's look and state that we found a possible. We don't know, and comment about the test casing, doing a test case. So so yeah, so we'll go ahead and send that up with thought needing to be put on it.
Yeah, I think so, because we could argue this all day and never decide.
Right. Yeah, I think we've argued to a point that we pretty much all agree Laurel should take a look at this and decide.
Even Cena's really vague on it, because it says that inanimate charge. It talks about non-inanimate charges or inanimate charges having posture differences, but they talk about them in terms of two non-identical and two identical. But then the non-identical ones, they don't actually talk much about like long skinny things versus fat things. They just talk about how fat things versus fat things don't have a DC, but long things versus long things will get a DC for change. They don't talk about whether And
I'm amazed at how much that sounds like Laura E's.
Yeah, really.
Party of the first part should not be the same color as the party of the second part. So let's see. So we'll send that up. Given the wondering about the possible conflict and it possibly being a test case for So, all right, moving on to Hextilda McRae. This is also a resub. Basically, I know what happened here of why it came through. We found no conflict. We put it up. But what happened is that we had to do a redraw. And when I went to put it back on the form, this is all on pinning. I did not resize it properly. And so they considered it not on the proper blazoning.
Okay, not a proper
it was a modified escutcheon.
Well, I didn't find any conflicts with this as it exists, and as far as I can tell, since it's only a redraw to get the shield right.
Yeah.
The Silky and a Harpy are different from each other. I didn't find any conflicts.
Oh yeah. Well, for one thing, a Silky doesn't have any wings, and adding wings to just about anything will grant a DC. And so the silhouette is just totally different. And
oh yeah, no, I completely agree. From a visual perspective, they're different. I just brought it up because I look at it from the coding and. I look at it like eventually someone's going to search for this thing and then it's going to say there's a conflict, but there's not.
No. Well, they may be in the same category because they're humanoid monsters, half chimeras, part humanoid and part animal. But that doesn't mean that they're going to conflict, just that they have a higher chance of conflicting.
Right.
Yeah. So when I went through and redid it, I redid it for her that night and had it sent to Cypher. So the forms are correct this time around, and I do apologize to Hextilda and everything. So, but yeah, so we have that fixed, and we'll go ahead and send her up now that her form looks all nice and pretty for Laurel.
Yeah. Fix the blazon and everything, and
we had a blazon. I'm going to check the form and make sure that it was spelled right on the form. It may have just been misspelled during the entering of the data. Okay, so moving on to number 4, Istrub.
Yazi.
Yep, Sir Yazi. I very rarely get to actually, huh?
Jastreb Desislavich.
Yeah. I very rarely get to actually say his name. So and I like his name. So
he's Yazi the Dancing Bear.
Yeah.
Is that what that actually means?
No, it's just a nickname.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. So new badge, fieldless on a mullet of 8 points, ghouls a glaive, pale-wise ore.
Nobody found any conflicts.
Yeah.
No, and it's going to be conjointly owned with
Mariana, yeah.
Mariana. So,
Mariana Cristina Tirado de Erdogan.
Yeah.
that's the type of name.
Yes.
That's the type of name that just kind of flows. I like the sound of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So far, everyone found no conflict. So with three heralds not finding conflict and all three of them being present in the chat, I think we can safely say we can go ahead and just throw this one up to Laurel.
Yeah.
Okay, so move on to number 5, Ragnar Arnigson.
Arngerson. Yeah, Arngerson.
Yeah, Arngerson.
Yeah, Arngerson.
It's a resub.
I gather that the only difference was the way that the Vault Knight is drawn, correct?
No, it was not. Well, yes. I'm sorry. For some reason, my brain shift gears and made the Valknut the ship and not the triangles. Whose phone is that?
It's mine. Hang on a second. I'm in the middle of a heraldry meeting. I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
Yes, for purposes of SCA Heraldry, a Valknut is 3 voided triangulars interlaced. The triangles in the submission emblazoned are not voided and nor are they interlaced. The triangles are fracted, meaning broken, in various places, and the voiding is a thin line, abstract design on a unidentified underlying charge. This is also sufficient grounds for return. On the submission, please advise the submitter to add a few waves on the wavy fest.
Which they definitely did.
Yes. And they made everything they made everything full. I mean, you can definitely tell that those are not broken triangles. They are definitely full triangles that have been interlaced. And they added a couple more waves.
Hang on a second. Hey, sweetie. Well, I'm in the middle of an online heraldry meeting right now. Can I call you back in a few minutes? Okay, I'll call you back in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
All right. Kaylin, you want to discuss a little bit about the close one that you found?
Oh yeah, it's just really close. It's basically the same motif except for it has an arrow and a hand instead of a ship and a Valknut, and they're argent instead of ore, and so you get the DCs for the types and the tinctures.
Right. So
it's just,
that's not
it's just really close.
Right. So, but yes, the redraw definitely they added 3 or 4 more waves. They made them full interlaced triangles, so I don't really see a problem and go ahead and sending this one up as well. And this one was also returned by Laurel. So
okay.
All right, so moving on to number 6, Stella di Silvestri.
Yeah, we're gonna have a discussion on this one too, sweetie.
Yeah. When I was looking over the comments yesterday, I knew the two that were definitely going to be a comment were the first one and this one. All right, so let's break this down. It's another resub device. This one's returned at Kingdom. The original submission had stars around a star. This one has lozenges around a star.
Well, the changing the stars to lozenges does address one of the problems, which was the clarity of charge group issue.
Yeah.
Problem here is the arms of the star kind of cross the line of an oral of lozenges. So, and I'm not sure that the position of the lozenges would default that way necessarily when you were drawing them.
They'd have to be. So they suggested points to center argent.
Right.
But I something about this, the way they're so positioned, almost makes the whole thing look like one charge, which I know is not correct. But like, it doesn't
sort
really.
of like a cross of Jerusalem is one charge.
Yeah.
And it has little crosses that are not conjoined to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I see your point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say this is a star and an oral of lozenges as opposed to just like, together a star and lozenges. That makes any sense?
If the star was smaller and the lozenges were a little bit further out,
Yeah.
maybe, but the way that the points of the star cross the line of the theoretical oral,
Yeah, Lucian is even wondering if we should make the star smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be it's one of those things where it's really, it might be like super technicality. I was worried that it might be something that's kind of like.
Yeah, see, I would think you could not break the line of division for the oral, which that's essentially what it's doing. It's breaking up the oral.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
If the star was a little bit smaller and the lozenges were a little bit further out, maybe.
Now,
you wouldn't have that same problem, but.
Someone say we haven't used encircled by in the last 35 years. Do we have any idea of any kind of standards for the term encircled by? Is that a thing we can still use, and would that be helpful in using that? I'm not sure. Because obviously it's problematic calling it an oral.
Yeah.
I always thought.
The only thing I can think of is an oral of lozenges pierced by the points of a star or something, and I'm not sure that's not going to work.
But it's not an oral because the oral would follow the shape of the escutcheon.
Yeah.
So being that
Classic
case.
example.
Mess Alexander, you're off and on. We can't hear you, man.
You're going in and out.
I mean, it's not an oral because classic case of that, Scotland. More of a bunch of lozenges and annula. So I don't think following the oral idea is a possible track, because it would follow the outline of the escutcheon or whatever other shape the blazon is placed.
That's another good point. Yeah.
There's another question. If the lozenges followed the line of the escutcheon, would it not stop the breakup that we're seeing?
If it did, it would be good if it did, but because it would not match the emblazon at all.
No.
If it did that.
So.
I mean, I'd argue it would look better with a proper oral of the lozenges, not even all points to center, but that it definitely would not match the emblazon.
Or or 7 lozenges in annulo. Yeah, okay.
That's what they're saying. They're not an oral. Oral follows the line of the escutcheon. They're in annulo.
Yeah.
And if you specify 7 lozenges in annulo like that, they're not going to fall within the arms of the star.
Probably not.
No, they're going to be far. They're going to be far away.
Are we even allowed to have more than 6 in annulo?
I don't see why not. I don't recall a rule about that.
Yeah, I don't see why not, but you know.
Generally, we don't have that many, but generally when things are in annulo, they are larger things. Does that make any sense?
See, I think I think we're
I think
back.
I think what we've got is a modern design,
Yeah.
a modern concept.
And the other problem is the whole, like, even if you did in annulo, and you say points to center, I mean there are 4 points on a lozenge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether or not it's an acute point or an obtuse point, it's still a point. I mean, it could be argued that there's no way to really blazon points to center like that. I feel like.
Yeah, because I mean, half of them are base point to center, and half of them are chief point to center.
Yeah.
Right.
And he definitely has a point that that a lozenge has more than 2 points. You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is 4 points. So.
This is looking more and more unlikely.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah, I'm afraid what we've got here is a modern concept, graphic concept.
I think the best suggestion, if we were to send this back for another redraw, the best suggestion would be to shrink the star and either put the lozenges in a proper oral in just upright position for the like standard default lozenge position,
Mm-hmm.
or to just move them out and try for the points to center thing, but make sure that that the star is fully within the annulo. I think the oral idea, like doing a proper oral, would look okay.
Yeah.
It would just not look like that.
No, it wouldn't look like what she's designed.
Right.
I had somebody years ago that I'll have to show you some of his designs sometime, but it was in blue and gray and red. And they were very striking designs, but they were absolutely nowhere close to heraldic.
So what actual rule are we breaking here? I mean, I understand
a
modern design.
Yeah. Well, difficulty in blazon is
okay.
Just to be a sign of non-period. Yeah. That we can't properly blazon it to where it can be reproduced.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to go on this.
Yeah, because even if you go down the path of calling it in annulo, you can't really say the star is within it because it's piercing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so there's too much questionability there.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So inability to blazon. All right.
You have to reproduce it from blazon. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Hate it because this is already a resubmission, but
yeah, I'll say this return is going to cause some heartburn.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Because this is a real technicality.
Yeah, what group is she with?
She's with South Downs. Sorry, Lucian.
Okay.
So Messias gets to get the heartbreaking news.
Yeah.
No, that's Red Raven's job.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Lucian. Where did everybody go? There you go. Okay. Too many tabs. Okay. So we're moving on to number 7, Tristan Pelletier. Say that again?
Pelletier.
Yes. We have a new name and new device. This submitter desires a masculine name, no major changes, and sound most important.
Well, it looks like that he has got that the docs are fine, and I know I didn't find any conflicts with the name. So,
yeah.
Anyone else? They got the name from some of Aries articles for one of Aries articles, and
yeah, I wouldn't have a problem. seeing both documents that they're from and everything, we all know that those are very well trusted. And since they're both French names, we should know we shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
So the name should.
And they're also dated to the same time frame. So
yeah,
this should be an excellent name. It shouldn't be a problem with that.
All right. So the name is pretty well good. Now we come into the problem. And this was the device. Sable, a guinea pig argent on a chief, ghouls, and a mullet argent.
Okay, for one, we cannot have a ghouls chief on a sable field. I missed that when I was commenting on it for the first place.
I can't believe I missed that.
This is the second device that we've had comes through with a sable field and a mullet and a ghouls chief.
That's because ghouls is the lightest. Ghouls is the lightest of the colors, and sable is the darkest of the colors. They have the greatest contrast, and people tend to think that they're contrasted enough, but they're not. This is a ghouls chief on a sable field. It's color on color. Well,
and most of the times,
and you cannot fimbriate a chief to separate them.
Yeah, and I hate to. I really hate to say it. Bad Herald, but most times I forget that a chief is a layer. Mm-hmm. So it's like
we accidentally sent in one of the devices from here all the way up to Google for them to figure that one out.
Yeah, I mean, I was so involved with whether or not statin was the default posture for a guinea pig. I didn't comment. I missed that when I first glanced at it, when I first commented on it. But as soon as I looked at it tonight, it was, oh my God, I missed that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bromlin.
So
thank you very much. Okay. Even though we have the Insta-Boing here and everything, let's talk this through and about the guinea pig just to make sure that we're not missing anything.
As far as I could tell, none of the guinea pigs that were registered were, they were blazoned as, oh, wait a minute, let me look what I said. I found them as couchant and combatant. I didn't find any that were labeled as any default, so I wasn't sure what the default, if any, was. I think if we need to send it, if we send it up with a guinea pig on it in this position after a resubmission, it needs to be blazoned as statin.
Okay.
This is a little bit of a weird comment, but I saw the statin argent guinea pig, and my immediate thought before I read the blazon, seeing it was a guinea pig, was, is that a polar bear?
No, I thought maybe it was a wombat, or I don't know. I didn't think guinea pig immediately, but then again, as soon as I saw guinea pig, I didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah. I mean, I see more of a wombat there than I do a bear. I will admit that. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. But a guinea pig is an actual charge.
Yes. Yep. And we have registered them, and I think if we blazoned it as statin, it would go. But the problem here is that we've got a color on color, and they would have to change the color of the chief and change the color of the mullet.
Yeah,
in order to change that. So they'd have to have like a chief argent and a mullet ghouls or something like that to get.
I will say that it's probably a good idea that when it comes back to us, that they do resubmit with the added documentation, because they say here that the most recent one was 1981.
Oh my God!
And so there's no. I mean, it could be one of those things where they might bounce it if there wasn't documentation, but the documentation looks good.
And that was the one that Michael gave.
Yeah, I would just say that when they send it back to us, like, add the documentation to it just to be absolutely sure.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the science article. Isn't really super good proof because it's a modern article, but the paintings dated to that period are definitely good proof. I think that Europeans.
I will actually, as a separate item to their return letter, I will send them a copy of this with it. That way they have it.
Well, I do apologize again for not catching the color on color thing when I commented on it. I was kind of in a hurry when I was finishing it up the other day.
Nobody caught it.
Yeah. Now, given that this is actually our last thing for education's sake, Brahman, you mentioned a posture I wasn't familiar with. Couchant?
That's lying down.
Okay.
Couchant.
Couch it.
Like you're laying on a couch.
Well, couchon is like the French pronunciation, so that's what I tend to do. But couchant is fine.
Okay. I know couchant.
Well, couchant is lying down, usually with the head up, and then of course dormant is sleeping with lying down with the head down.
Right.
So yeah, we have registered them lying down. Although to me we're getting into meatloaf.
Yeah.
Especially with a charge like this, I can't, that has no other distinctive outline traits to distinguish it. It would definitely look like just a
statin. Adding the word statin in really makes it look like it should be the default posture, because I mean it clearly identifies the guinea pig as the guinea pig,
right?
But all right, so that was a language thing and not just a how did I miss that?
Yeah.
And I will state that couchant is the default position of all Carloses. So.
And I don't think I've ever seen an actual guinea pig combatant, but that's not to say that they don't fight.
They're mean.
But anyway,
Okay.
so those are the those are two.
And Lucian is saying that rodents do not have a default posture.
No, I don't think that they do. But that's why I said I think we need to blazon. If they come back with the same charge, I think we need to blazon it as statin.
Yeah, that it should be that they should add statin to the blazon,
Yeah.
and as well as send in this nice little bit of. Say that again.
The default posture is probably scamperant.
Yes, but could it be scamperant and annulo like a hamster on a wheel? I think that would be hysterical. An annulet with a hamster or guinea pig running around the inside of it.
April Fools, here we come.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that does wrap up the meeting for tonight. I thank you very much for your time and for your discussion on these matters. We will be sending these up to all you out there on the interwebs and to my cohorts right here. I would like to say I hope this week that you have a very nice Thanksgiving and that you find yourself very full. So all of you out there in the interwebs, I say a fond good night.